Good.
Napoli campione d'Italia, guys.
D'Italia, campione
Patazzoni. That and
d'Italia.
more on this next episode. Here we go.
Marottolo, Carmen, aiutici tu!
10 seconds!
Aspetta, signore!
Benvenuti, fellas and bellas, all over the world. Welcome to the Napoli Rant. I'm Ralph Piz, joined by my co-host, the Vicar of Vesuvius, Rafa Rispo. I told you to watch it earlier.
I told you I didn't want to.
I know. Benvenuti to the chat and all our audio listeners. Let's get this rant on the road. Today's a very special episode, fellas and bellas. After 33 long years, Napoli are crowned champions of Italy. Forza Napoli.
Ralph, that was amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. I'm not even, I don't even have words, man. Like Joe Fischetti asked to put together like a couple of minutes, which you did. I just listened to the episode. A lot of others did, and great, some great friends, some names that we've made friends with, some people that we've known for a while. All amazing testimonials to what this Scudetto means to them. I politely declined on being one of those names because I just knew that I would start losing it and probably ramble on and on. But just some beautiful testimonials. Please go listen to Joe's podcast. But guys, we've done it. We've done it. We had a this has been a journey, Ralph. This has been a journey, man. This has.
I'm a little choked up right now. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I didn't think I would be, but I am, only because it's it's funny. Like before I got to the meet, I kind of let it go in the car.
You did.
I had Nino D'Angelo on. You know that song, Forza Campione. Remember that song? Ciao Giorgio. We speak Italian, but not in this show. This is for the English speaking crowd. But I let it out then, because I wanted to be strong and dry eyed for the game. But I did let it out then, and a couple times after, and it's like I said, and I did do a voice thing for Joe, and my thing, go hear it. I'm not going to say what I said. You got to go to the episode and listen to it, but I meant it. And the I think the friendships have been the most important thing here, and the way everything has grown throughout North and South America, and even all over the world. But it's a special time, guys. It's an historic moment. We did it. We can breathe easier now. We got that monkey off our back. We have proved to the world that we can do it, and we can do it wisely too. You don't have to splash the big bucks, and you don't have to, though that style's over, guys. That way is not efficient. That is not a way for everybody, every team in the world to conduct business with their team, guys. Not everybody has a Real Madrid budget or a Man City budget or PSG or even a Juve when they pretended to have money. Not everybody. It's not a sustainable approach, and I think De Laurentiis is not a perfect person. He's not a perfect president, but damn, I think he gave so much economic swag to teams out there, a system, a way, a method, that anybody can follow, and I think, being a hungry player that is willing to perform, and the importance of the group is something that we lost sight of,
Right.
And my brother says he can throw a party, though. They're damn right, guys. If you saw the after party that night, it was
For sure.
beautiful. I mean, honestly, like the light
It made me. You think I was crying now, man? It made. Go look at my Twitter.
It was beautiful, though. It was
It was
the lights,
amazing.
the show, give that man a stadium, man. Like, give him a stadium. I'd rather see what he's gonna do.
Bro, when
was
everybody
gorgeous.
came out, they had the laser lights with their names. Like, this was something. I mean, listen, let's be real, okay, everybody. Let's be real. We have 100% known we're winning this Scudetto for a little bit, right? And maybe that's something we can do today, is maybe like I can get your account on when you really knew that this Scudetto was won, but we all knew it was coming. So he had some time to figure this out. But I mean, he's the showman of showmans. This is his thing. This is his thing. Production, entertainment. And he was very successful at that. He doesn't have to put out Academy Award winning movies to be a success in what you do. And through his knowledge of business, he was able to take a team where, he said on CBS he only bought the name. He didn't even buy the name. He had to be Napoli Soccer for 2 years.
Right.
Then he bought the name afterwards. He bought a spot in Serie A and played in Naples. That's what he did. And that's something that he maybe translated to the CBS crew. But the reality is Napoli we're done for 2 years. Napoli didn't exist. Napoli, if you look at, even if you go to Wikipedia, SSC Napoli Wikipedia, 04 and 05 is gone. It's not there. SSC Napoli is not available for 2004, 2005, 2006 Wikipedia page. It's Napoli Soccer. So this is something that, when you really think about it, right? And I caught a lot of crap for this back in the Far From Vesuvius days, and I don't care. I'll say it. James McGee, him and I got into such a huge argument about how I viewed Napoli as a brand new team. Yes, it's our third Scudetto. Yes, the lineage is of Diego Maradona, but De Laurentiis had to purchase that back, right? And I know I don't want to make this a whole thing about his past. We all know his past, but I think it's important to bring up really fast, Ralph, that this is essentially a 19-year-old team, man. 2004, September 2004, is the De Laurentiis Napoli who had to recreate, who had to create a team from the ashes of Vesuvio. Let's if you want to put it in a poetic way, right? He had to take the dust from the lava and like blow into the wind and create this entity that he later formatted as SSC Napoli, but it began from anew. And where have you ever seen a team that's just created 20 years later, 19 years later, win a Scudetto? Be as relevant as they have been for all these years, but now finally this Scudetto, it legitimizes everything he's been through and everything every fan has been frustrated about and everything that they've stuck with him by or criticized him for. It all comes full circle with this Scudetto, man. And I have to hats off to him. And I don't want to seem like an ADL loyalist, but when you think about it, man, like I'm just happy that we won one in this era. And from here on out, and I heard a lot of people on Joe's podcast say things like, hopefully this is the start of something and this and that. Ralph, if it's not, and if this was just a one-off.
Well, I'll say this much, guys. You know what? We have been supportive of the president on this show. And again, not because we love ADL, we're ADL fans, but the one thing that Ralph and I are loyal to is Napoli. And the fact is that Aurelio De Laurentiis is the president of Napoli, whether you like it or don't like it, whether you like what he does or dislike what he does. I disagree with some of the things he is. I disagree with some of his actions, some of his attitudes, some of the things he said behind. But every person that criticized this man had started to change their tune. I think it's a little unfair that it took this to get to that point, but at the same time, some of the things you say to people, what he has said to people, I can understand why he kind of hindered that approval for him from the Napolitani. But I'll say it. Maybe I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. I think this is the beginning of a new, evolved Napoli. Yes, you need trophies to create legacy. We spoke about that when we did the Comcast with the boys from New York. Yes, this is true. To be considered a great team, you got to have the hardware to back it up, and that's fine. But here's the thing. To get to be a great team, you need to be stable. You need to always be competing. You always need to be at the top of the table. It doesn't mean you're gonna win a trophy every season, whether it be in the European competitions or in the Campionato. But you need to be in the top of the table to be considered a competitive team. The only way you get to win a trophy is if you are strong and you are there consistently. Not, okay, we had a one-off, and then boom, it's back down to 7th, 8th place for the next 6 years or whatever. Or, hey, we did good on the come-up, and then, we had to go back to Serie A B and reset again. Napoli came up, stayed up, and will continue to stay up. And yes, if I had to guess, if I'm going to put my money on it, this is the beginning of a new thing, because I think ADL as a president finally evolved from this player who was just kind of, this president who was just kind of bargain hunting for players to a guy that finally said, you know what we need is a group. And I know sometimes when he's talking, and by the way, Pasquale said it, that he spoke in English, and I was so happy.
Oh yeah, did you see that?
I was so happy having him talk in English, because now I can imitate him. I can impersonate him in English, so I'm kind of happy for that.
We buy the players.
So if anybody knows De Laurentiis, right? I saw people's in here. Uh, if anybody knows him, what he said on Paramount in English is things that he's been saying since he bought the team. Honestly, it was a broken record of himself. I'll
Right.
be honest. For
And
the most
it
part,
was select facts. It wasn't
But
even all the right facts.
right. And it was like, but you had to pick the little things. But one thing that De Laurentiis has been saying, and maybe not in English to the English networks, but or to the to the American networks or what have you. But the one thing he has been saying, Rafa, is that one thing he said in the beginning of the season for the first time ever, if I'm correct, is we want to win a Scudetto this season.
No, listen,
It's
the first time he's ever
said it. Elnap, people, if you're in here, fact check me because I'm sure he knows.
No,
I'm sure
he's never said it before. He's not. I mean,
I don't think he's ever said it before.
He's never let's put it this way. If he has said it, he probably meant, yeah, one of these days it's gonna come. Be patient, right? He legitimately came out this season and said, we aim for the Scudetto this season. I think it's time we bring our fans a Scudetto. And I'll never forget Spalletti's face. It's like, I'm not saying Spalletti wasn't convinced in the project. I think he was convinced in the project. I think he was convinced in a gradual progression. Like, okay, if I'm going to lose these players, this is a start. This is a good way to go. When he said Scudetto, Spalletti was about to pop out of his head. Like, timeout. Scudetto, I don't know about Scudetto. But again, everybody thinking that we'd be 5th, 6th. I always had faith that we'd finish in a Champions League position. And very, very few people, I'll name 2 right now, Dan Bowen, Mohamed Salah. Those 2 guys are the only 2 people I know in my circle here, in our circle, anywhere, that said, why not this season? We can do it. And maybe not even my dad, who always,
even last season too, since Spalletti came.
Yeah, but last season, when you think about last season, you still had Mertens, Insigne, Fabian, Koulibaly. Like, okay, we had the depth, right? And we had Spalletti, right? And we were close, right? I mean, listen, 4 games left, we lost to Scudetto, right? We were close. It's funny. Patrick Kendrick mentioned, the losses in December. We got 1 point in December. That's when we kind of lost to Scudetto. I disagree. I think it was in April when we lost to Scudetto. Roma, Fiorentina, Empoli. Draw to Roma, lost to Fiorentina and Empoli. That, to me, was when we lost to Scudetto because we had it. Right. We had it. But here's the thing. My father, every year, oh, yeah, Scudetto. Oh, we're going to win the Scudetto. This season, he even said, no, we're not this season, Scudetto. No. But we'll be okay. We'll get there soon. Watch, maybe 2 years, maybe next year. He even was like, no way, Scudetto. Boom. De Laurentiis opens his mouth and produces. I mean,
no pun intended. No, but Rafi, you're right, and again, that was something. One thing that for years and years and years I've been hearing, right, is that the oboots comes from the head of the fish, right? As everybody says, and that it has to come from the top, and the attitude and the mentality have to come from the top. It's all about ADL. It's ADL that holds back the team. It's ADL that's missing something. It's ADL that's
we reached the ceiling with ADL, right? That was another one we heard. We reached the ceiling.
We reached the ceiling. Maybe we did reach. I don't think we reached the ceiling per se, Rafa. But in order to like take a next step, we had to switch up a little bit. ADL found a way to find young, hungry players who can do the job, who can follow the instructions, who can put the team before themselves at a price that is affordable for us, because I'm sorry, guys, we're not Man City. We don't have hundreds of millions. You're not getting a Sheik. You're not getting any of this stuff. This is not Napoli, and it never will be, I hope.
Yeah, do you want the Sheik? Do you want the hundreds of millions of...
We cannot be in these big debts. We cannot take on these things. We cannot just ask a rich guy to throw all his money at us, and then when he doesn't get it, he's just going to sell the team, and the team's going to be in debt, and we're just going to be another investment for some firm somewhere in Saudi Arabia. I don't want to do no offense to the Saudi Arabians or anything like that, but I'm just saying I'm not going to try to be some some team getting passed hand over hand to other people because of our debts and things like that. I don't want that. All right. What I was gonna say earlier is that is the one thing is the stability that I said. I think I did say it earlier, actually. One thing was stability. Napoli, something that they have never had aside from these 3 championships, is stability. You have never been in a position consistently enough to give yourself the chance to become a champion. Now you have been. We have been an antagonist in this league for a decade. So to all the we got 36 Scudettis. How many Champions League we got? How many this we got? Great. That's fine. Congratulations. You were the best team in the 90s and the early 2000s. Well, guess what? I'm moving on with my life. I'm not going to fight you or any other team and compare, measure dicks here and compare how many trophies which team got. I'm going to look to the future. I'm going to look for these next 10 years from 2020 on. And I've noticed that so far there's been 4 Scudetto winners, 4 different Scudetto winners. Granted, it's been the same 3 plus us. So what does that tell you about Italy or about Italian teams, guys? Napoli is, for other fan bases, annoying. And I love it. I love every second of it, because no longer can these teams come, run the league, take the top 3, this 3-horse race for the Scudetto. Whoever wins, because they almost break it up equally, and then they go to Champions League. Now you have to worry about Napoli taking one of your spots. You have to worry about maybe Lazio taking one of your spots, or Roma, or Atalanta. It's not easy anymore to get in the Champions anymore. It's not easy anymore to just win the Scudetto. It takes a lot more. It takes a lot more now. All right. And the same teams that have been doing it since 1990. Okay. It's not going to be easy for you anymore. You know it, and I know it. And let's be honest about it. And it's not to take away from your past success. I'm just saying it's not going to be as easy anymore to get what you want as it was before. And hell, we don't even know what the hell was going on over these past 30 years with referees and cooking the books and biasm and the money and the economic value of the, and the socio-political issues that are going on in Italy, like everything. Not when Maradona said it's Napoli against tutti, contro tutti, he meant it. It's not just the opponent, it's everything.
Really is, man.
So for me, yes, Napoli been here. They may have just won the trophy, but we've been here. We've been a thorn in the side of basically Serie A for over a decade. And this is one of the biggest validations for me, because finally, here's your trophy now. Here's the trophy. We got it. And we did it in such a fashion that we're blowing people's minds away.
Dude.
And I said it last week. Serie A, you need Napoli right now.
You need Napoli.
Napoli right now. Right? People want to see something different coming out this country, man. Out this league. And it's Napoli.
You mentioned that we did it in such a fashion, right? I looked up basically the winners of the Scudetto, and I was trying to find the the fastest winning Scudetto teams in history, right? Like Napoli clinched with 5 games to spare. And I had it here, and I don't know what I did with it. Oh man, never mind. Let's go to the next. Let's keep talking, and I'll look for this again, and I'll find it. But there were teams. There's 2 teams in the okay. No, it was the 06-07 Inter and the 18-19 Juventus. That the only other 2 teams that won the Scudetto with 5 games left to spare. So Napoli joins those 2 teams. We finished second behind that Juventus team. A team that actually is also being investigated for that Scudetto. So there's a chance they may get stripped of that too. That was That's another thing. But that's an achievement that they had. And I'm happy to say that Napoli share that with those two teams. There were two other teams that did it in like the 40s and the 50s. Might have been a Fiorentina team from like 1950 something, and I think it was a Torino team that won with 5 games left in the season. But that was during the 2-point era. So like what we're measuring is the 3-point era, right? So
Right.
where does this put us when it comes to like some of the top teams to win the Scudetto? Of course, Juventus in 2015 won, with 102 points. And then I think that same Inter team that won it so early won it by a margin of 22 points themselves. So, there's 4 games left to play. We're at 83 points. So what does that leave us? We can get to 95 is the most that we can get if we win out, right? I mean, it's got to be revered as one of the top Italian sides of all time. I mean, can we agree on that?
I mean, if the facts stated, Rafa, this team this season is one of the top of all times.
And recent form aside, even given the recent form, we only lost 1 match in this dip of form. Right.
Sure.
If we beat Inter, coming up on, I think it's our next home match, so it would be the 21st, right?
Right.
If we beat Inter, we have beaten every team in Serie A this year. Now that's another thing. Let's find that out. Is there a team that actually went and beat every team in a season? You have to look at that Juve team. I think.
It was I remember. I forgot what year was it when Juve was. They were undefeated. They had no losses.
So
they had
Juve were unbeaten in their first Scudetto in that nine Scudetti run.
Was
right?
that it?
And it was the 11-12 Juve team that we beat in the Coppa Italia final. Remember, that was that one loss that they attained because they didn't play in Europe. They didn't play in Europe, and they won out every game in the Coppa Italia as well. So we beat Juve in the final of that Coppa Italia. That was their only loss that season. However, they had 15 draws. So it's impossible.
That same season, 15? It was that many? I know they had a lot.
Yeah, they had 15 draws. So there has to be a team where they just couldn't beat that year, right?
Right.
Like, I don't think you're going to go and see that they had drawn one team each, and
I wonder how much help they got that season. So let me see if I can. I'm gonna rant. Then we'll do the beast of the match, guys. I'm sorry, not for the Fiorentina game. We're gonna do the beast of the match for the Scudetto clincher versus Udinese. So we'll give everybody a minute. But while you guys put up your beast for the Udinese match, the Scudetto clincher, I just want to get a quick timeline. So Calciopoli, 2006. 2008 comes the Great Recession in the world. Italy's economy collapses. Italian teams, thanks to Juve's bullshit, are struggling to keep their heads above water. Massive fire sales going on to stay afloat and to avoid the debt. Here comes Juve, gets to keep most of their team. Probably illegitimately, all things considering that came out, maybe fudging their numbers a little bit. I don't know. But they get to keep their whole team while everybody else has to sell and where everybody else has to make moves. Like we want to talk about, oh, well, this team didn't do well and this team didn't do well this season. But here comes Juve for 9 years on a fucking one of the worst Serie A in history. I mean, we lose one of our spots in the Champions League in this time. Juve ripping up everybody. Everybody's struggling. And then all this shit comes out. All of a sudden, 2020 comes, bangs everybody, makes every team honest. And now Serie A has 4 champions within 4 seasons.
Right.
starting from 2020. And I'd like to see what's going to happen to 2030. I'm going to measure this Serie A to 2030, and we'll see what happens. If we can get 7, I'm saying 7 because that's the last time we saw it in 1980. We can get 7 Scudetto winners within his 10 years. And, excuse me, if Napoli can repeat, it'll be one of the best Napolis in Serie A history, quite possibly. And the other thing that De Laurentiis said in English to CBS was, I want to go for the Champions League now. I think the Scudetto, that Scudetto monkey is off our back. We don't have to worry about it now. We'll be all right. The
Pressure's
Popolo
off.
is
Pressure's
calm
off, man.
now.
Mhm.
Everybody's satisfied. They got their steak dinner. Everybody's good. Now we can focus a little bit on the Champions League. And I think ADL found his formula on how to make a great team that is affordable, that is fun, and that could essentially bring home the hardware. So I do hope for more of that. But in the meantime, here comes the beast of the match for the Scudetto clincher against Udinese. Here it is, guys. Yes, sir. Victor Osimhen.
Yeah,
Prince,
Victor
the
Osimhen.
new crowned king of Napoli.
Yes,
Here he is.
He
guys.
has emerged from being a prince and is now a king, and rightfully so. 2020, that was his 21st goal of the season. He 22nd. Sorry, he did score his 23rd against Fiorentina. We'll talk about that another time. But this goal was the goal, and down 1-0, halftime. Everybody's very very stressed. Just wants it to be over at this point. You know, another little lapse in the defense. What happens? Who doesn't stop till he gets his moment is Victor Osimhen, and I feel like it's just his. This is his year. This is his time to shine. This is his capocannoniere. This is his MVP. This is definitely his season. 2023 will be remembered as the year of Victor Osimhen, and whether he stays or goes, which I don't think he's going. I heard we're talking to him again about a contract. Listen, it could mean that he gets a pay raise this year and then signs somewhere else next year, but he wants to give it one more year.
Rightfully so, Rafa. Yeah. So word on the street too is to maybe extend him for an extra year, right? Because his contract is till 2025. Extend him one more year. Let him run it back. Then he'll still have 2 years left on his contract. And if he wants to go and we want to sell him or what have you, you can do it then. But give it one more shot. Victor Osimhen was beast of the match. He scored the winning goal. He will probably become the capocannoniere. I know Lautaro is sneaking up right behind him. The race will be tight between those two, I feel like. But Victor has to keep going. He needs to win this. To the fact that we can, clinch the Scudetto in the fashion we did so early, and then also have the capocannoniere. And I've been saying it, man. Napoli always needed the striker in front. They always needed a man. When you look at what Cavani did, and I know you don't like him, Rafa, but even what Higuain did that one season, all right, when Napoli had a striker, they were more of a complete team. They needed the tip of the sword to be sharp and strong. And when they had that, they always were a nuisance to teams. They always were successful. And I like what Cavani did. I'm not crazy about some of the posts that were out there on social media coming out of Italy, with Maradona crowning Cavani and all that. And I'm glad what the kid did, but Cavani was not alone. He did great. He was not alone. He had the best goal scorer in Italy to pass the ball to. He had one of the top. He had Mario Rui. You know what? Before I go further, I don't want to take away from this moment. Osimhen deserved this. He deserves to be the MVP of the league. He deserves to be the Capocanoniero. He deserves to be remembered. And he did it in such a short time. Cavani stayed for 3 years. Don't forget. And while he was one of our best strikers, Osimhen here finished the job.
Mm-hmm.
Got it done. Victor Osimhen, beast of the match for the Scudetto
Beast
clincher.
of the Scudetto. Beast of the Scudetto. That's my opinion. Beast of the Scudetto. Ralph, that was beautiful. I have some information.
Go on.
We talked about that Juventus team in 2018-19, the one that clinched with 5 match rounds left, right?
Mm-hmm.
That team lost. That team couldn't beat 2 teams in Serie A, Atalanta and Genoa.
Interesting.
That team drew and lost each to Atalanta and to Genoa in that season. If we beat Inter, we have literally beaten every team this season. We beat 19 of 20 teams.
Interesting. 19 of 20. And if we beat Inter, did we beat all 20? Is that right?
If we beat, well, we're the 20th. You know, we didn't beat ourselves.
I'm sorry. I meant the, you know what I mean, Rafa.
Yeah. Because okay, take a look, right? Our first 2 draws, Fiorentina and Lecce, correct? Right? Beat Fiorentina yesterday.
Yeah.
Beat Lecce few match weeks back.
Right.
Then we lost to Inter. Was our first loss. Was our first drop points since that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we beat Inter in 2 weeks, we'll have a victory on them this season, right?
Right.
We lost to Lazio, but we beat them in match round 5, and we lost to Milan, but we beat them earlier in the season as well.
Got you.
And then the teams that we just tied against, Verona beat them first game of the season.
Sure.
Who else?
Well, then there you
Salernitana beat them earlier this season, and then Udinese for the clincher beat them 3-2. Sorry, before the World Cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are all of our drop points. If we beat Inter, we literally beat 19 of 20. We beat all the teams available in City. Like, I don't. Again, that Juve didn't do it. Looking at the teams that we are compared with, as far as the earliest Scudetto clinchers, right? It's us, Inter, and Juve. Inter of 2006 or 7. I'll look that up too. Here's another really fun fact. Napoli is the first team to win the Scudetto since Inter of 52-53, with nobody on the team, player or coach, having won it prior.
In Italy.
No other Italian team since and other than Inter in 52-53.
Look at that. Bunch of young, hungry ponies got their W.
All
they
got their
trophy.
first taste of a Scudetto.
Right.
Okay.
And look who got it. You got Cavada, this young 21-year-old from Georgia who's playing in this, barely competitive league. You got Kim, who had to fill in the shoes of one of Napoli's greatest center backs of all time, or at least in the ADL era, at the very least. Who had to come in and fill those shoes, coming from the Turkish league. Victor Osimhen, who struggled to get to this point, struggled through injury. Not only just injury with us, don't forget, early in his career, when he got hurt, when he got sick, it took a lot. It took a lot to get to this point. I mean, Lobotka, who 2 years ago, we didn't even like. We took the word of our former captain. ADL took the word of our former captain and put this guy on our team, and look what he became. Look what he became. The cornerstone of this team. One of the most unsung heroes, one of the best midfielders that we've ever seen. I mean, it's incredible. It's really Rachmani, who played in Kosovo a couple years ago. Di Lorenzo, who was on Empoli not long ago.
Dude, Di Lorenzo, who came from Serie A about 5-6 years ago.
Right. Who's now the captain of the Scudetto winning team? I mean, come on.
He's the only other captain to well, first of all, he'll be the first Napoli captain to actually lift a trophy, because while the trophy existed, it was never a thing to be like shared upon on the pitch until until I think around the Calciopoli time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Scudetto trophy was never a thing that was like, you never. So basically, the June 4th celebration, the trophy celebration, everybody's gonna get a medal and a trophy.
Sure.
That wasn't a thing when Napoli won the Scudetto. You just cheered and then you put the Scudetto on the kit. That was it. Now it's a trophy, and Di Lorenzo will be the first Napoli captain to lift the Scudetto trophy at the Maradona. But he's only the second of all time. Like, how you share that with Diego Armando Maradona? Like, guys, Napoli, they had two Scudetto clinchers. They possibly could have had three, right? Because if we had lost to Udinese, this past game yesterday would have been the one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed that we gave up the lead. It was a hard fought lead that we took against Salernitana. We gave that up with 5 minutes left. Then we went down against Udinese, and it took us a little while, but we found our footing and got the goal to clinch the Scudetto. And we were like, all of us, Ralph, right? It's in our heads. This is crazy. It's in our heads. Well, how could it not be in our heads? I said this on Twitter when I was crying my eyes out. You can't possibly understand what this means. What this means to Napoli, not just the fans, but the players that are involved, the city, the organization. Like, fans of other teams, of Ronaldo fans, Messi fans, Real, Barcelona, PSG, City. Think about all these big money fans that bought their way to glory, right? Napoli had to inch and climb and scratch and crawl, and on top of that, had no history before Maradona, none, right? I mean, they had a history, but come on, come on, you know what I mean?
Right.
For people just have. I'm lost for words, Ralph.
Yeah.
There's no possible way people can grab like Milan, Inter, and Juve fans. They've experienced joy in their life. They've won Champions Leagues. They've won Scudetti. I get it, right? But only one will justify ADL. Only one will justify would create this feeling in the community, in the city, in the worldwide Napoli community, right?
Right.
If this never happens again, we have this, Ralph, right? And we can all go back to it and say, damn, man, that was special, And that's what it means for Napoli fans. That's what it means for me. Like, it's just amazing. The value of these players too. Look at the value; they tripled. You got Kvaratskhelia gone for 10 million. He's now valued at 85. Osimhen's at 100. You've got guys that are just their value has skyrocketed.
The value of the team, Rafa. Check your message. No, you're right, Rafa. Anything from here on out could just is going to be a positive thing for this team. And I think we can expect that. This is something that we can expect. That's something that we can look forward to. I know there has been some people. We're going to cut out shortly, guys. I know there was some question about Giuntoli today, and what I'm thinking is we save it. Hey, Gabriella, I think I met your mom. At the meet.
Yes, Gabriella's dad, mother, and father was out there. Yes, she couldn't make it. Which
you were there in spirit.
Sucked.
All right, I want to give you a little shout out because mom was really nice and mom and dad really nice. We shared pizza, but there's some talk about Giuntoli. There's some talk about other contracts. And Rafa, what I'm thinking is instead of doing it tonight, let's save this for maybe our Insta rant, live. And then this way, some people can come on and maybe even voice their opinion a little bit.
We'll also know a little more about what's going on with Giuntoli.
Yeah. I don't want to
Wednesday, I'm sure.
I don't want to like go on any speculation. I want to kind of know, but stay tuned for that because I really want to talk about it. I was discussing with my brother earlier. I really want to talk about it. But
word on the street is that ADL is going to let him go and he's going to leave. Heavy rumors to Juventus, but I don't know. I don't think so. I'm thinking outside of Italy. We'll talk about that on Wednesday more. But guys, we've done it. Campioni d'Italia. Siamo campioni. I'll never forget when we went to Italy and Edo De Laurentiis told us that we'll be campioni del mondo at some point soon.
Yeah.
And listen, we're going into the Champions League next year representing as Scudetto winners. We're going to have the Scudetto on our kits with the Champions League on our arm. It's the feeling is indescribable. I can't even put into words. But enjoy it, everybody, because this was special. This was very special.
All right, guys, thank you again. Join us again this Wednesday, maybe Thursday. We'll see. But we'll let you know. We're going to do another Instagram live. We'll talk a little bit about Giuntoli, what's going on, some of our shirt contracts, and what's going. Until then, guys, Forza Napoli.
Campioni d'Italia for real this time!
Yeah, baby.
Ciao, everybody.
Ciao.